Okay. Welcome to live birding here on the Great Backyard Bird Count. I'm currently in Canyon Lake, Texas, and so today let's just go out and see what kind of birds we can find. I'm here at one of my favorite local hotspots. The lake is just down there, and then I've got my Nikon Z6 III with the 1.2 600mm lens that I'm going to be using to show you some of the birds around here. So let's go ahead and get started. Just want to try to hold that. Anything might be around. I can hear some cardinal for that one. There was a cardinal in there, but I don't see him anymore. So I just heard legs calling. the edges. Treetops just to see if we can see anything that's perched up there. There's not a whole lot of treetops around here, so anything that a bird could perch on is always a place you want to look. Right on that tree down there. I've seen a kestrel there before. Don't see anything. But it's always a good idea to just always be looking at the treetop. It's typically where birds. And here, cardinals calling from there, but see them. Gonna be hard to get a picture of them. Just because they're gonna stay hidden. When you walk close to them, they're gonna fly. So pretty hard. Yeah, we got an osprey right there. That's why you always want to be looking on the treetops, because you never know when you might find something like that, whether it's an osprey or American kestrel, really any bird of prey. We have a great egret down here. And then before we start identifying waterfowl, we'll probably get a little closer so we can see everything a little bit better. Make sure there's nothing on those trees right there. view of the whole area. So this is a little bit far away, but especially for the far birds, but I want to scare the ones that are close to us, scare the ones that are farther away. So in this big flock right here, we've got mostly coots. That guy right there in the middle is an American widgeon. And then that's a redhead right next to him. One with the little white on the head is the American widgeon, and then we got the redhead right next to him. Okay. Here we get a little bit more. Don't see him at the moment though. Another American widgeon right there. Another one. And widgeons, I think. Yeah. Those were American widgeons that were flying. It is a scaup. Lesser scaup. There is a ring-billed gull right there out in the middle. There's a pie-billed grebe right there. Looks kind of like a coot. He's like the same shape, but you can tell his bill is different. There's a coot right there for comparison. A little bit smaller. His back right there, you can tell he's different because of the shape of his head. A little bit larger than the coots. If we had better lighting, we could tell that he has a red head. You can see a little bit of the brown right there. There's some scaup right there. There's another one right there. I can't quite tell if that's a ringneck duck or a scaup. That's probably a widgeon that just flew in right there. Take a look farther out. It might be kind of hard to identify those. They look like coots, though. That looks like almost all coots. There's a great egret. And it seems like mostly coots from what I can see here. Those are northern shovelers that just flew in. There's the male on the left and then the females on the right. Those are coots right there. That's another canvasback right there. The ones with the white sides are either scaup or ringneck duck. Can't quite tell. There's a canvasback right there, the one with the white, and then he just dove down. Oh, there, looks like those are coots. The way they're perched, I thought they might be cormorants. I think those are just coots, though. Here, great blue heron over there. Oh, we've got something over there. Looks like gulls. A bunch of gulls. Probably ring-billed. That's the most common ones here. Quite a few of them, though. And down there, not a whole lot. There's a canvasback and a coot. Some ring-billed gulls. See if we can find those. I think we've covered most of the waterfowl here. We might see if we can add some forest birds to our list. One that I've been looking for is the bufflehead, because we have not found those yet, and there should be some here. They're fairly distinctive too, so we should be able to pull them out of the flock. They're pretty small ducks, but so far I've not seen any. And gadwalls should be here too. I haven't seen any. There's a coot eating something right there. Yellow legs is calling again. There he is right there. There he is right there. That was cool to be able to see him. I think we've really covered most of the flock here. But it's fairly easy for some ducks to just hide, or maybe they were underwater when I was scanning past them. And so it's fairly easy to miss birds, especially diving ducks like the bufflehead. There's a gull right there. Yeah, I don't see any buffleheads, so I'll probably just have to keep on going to the forest. See what birds we can find there. Got something flying by right here. Could not tell what that was while I was getting pictures of it, so let's have to see who that is. A Wilson snipe. Very distinctive silhouette. They're really hard to see because they blend in really well. But if you can see them flying, pretty easy to identify them. The osprey is still perched on the tree over there. See anything? The sparrow just flew up, but just away. I don't know if that was the same one or not, but disappeared right away. Experience. This brushy area here does have birds, which is hard to find and even harder to get pictures of. especially just because it's really thick and there's all these little twigs. Your autofocus just gets caught on it. Has a really hard time focusing. Go ahead and scan these trees real quick to see if we can find any songbirds. They might not be at the tops of the trees, but you can find them in the middle sometimes. Don't see anything right off the bat. So as we walk along this way, we'll just see if we can find any sparrows. There isn't a whole lot of birds in this area, typically. Just some sparrows, and sometimes you're able to find them, sometimes you're not. Here's some stuff calling back in there. Sounds like a cardinal. Sounds like a Carolina wren. But unless it calls again, it's going to be pretty hard to find. Even if it does call again, it could still be hard to find. But we're getting closer to these trees here, and they usually always have some birds. There's that. Oh, there he is right now. We just dove down. Popped up for a minute. Doesn't seem like he's going to pop up again. Here's something calling from in there. Just a leaf. Something flying up here. Bird of prey of some kind. Some other birds over there. Autofocus isn't picking them up. That went, but we had some bird of prey fly by. Let's take a look at the picture. I think it's a kestrel. Yeah. Yep, that's a kestrel. There are some birds behind it that were probably meadowlarks. Couldn't get a picture of them. They were a little bit far away from my autofocus to find. We got another bird perched right there. Probably another kestrel. Yeah, it's another kestrel. You can tell it's a kestrel because we've got the white belly, the brownish wings, and then the black and white face. I can hear some stuff. It mostly it sounds like cardinals. I'm surprised I haven't been able to find him yet. Something flying by here. We'll see if we can get it. And another one flying by. Not able to pick that one up. I should have made my focus thing a little bigger. know if we'll be able to tell what bird that is or not. Probably a sparrow, but it's a cloudy day, so there isn't any sunlight, which really helps with color. That might be a red-winged blackbird, actually. See just a little bit of color on the wing. Yeah, it's a red-winged blackbird. That's why size is just really hard to tell when a bird's flying far away. So it looked to me like it was about sparrow size, but it turns out it's about double. Hear a mourning dove calling. Oh, and make this focus box a little bigger. Make it easier to get things that are flying overhead. It might actually be the osprey from earlier right there. Yeah. Yeah, that's the osprey, probably in the same area, actually. See if we can get a better picture of this osprey right here. It's cloudy, which sometimes is good for pictures. I like to have sun more, I think, because it gets you better color and helps with sharper pictures. Autofocus is going to be a lot faster. And you can do a faster shutter speed because there's more light. I think that's a pretty good picture right there. One thing that clouds are great for is video. Just because when I'm shooting video right now, I'm shooting 60 frames per second. That's going to be a shutter speed of 120, which lets in quite a bit of light. So if it was sunny, it would be, I'd probably have to stop down my aperture. Right now my ISO is at 50. The minimum it goes is 100, so pretty soon I'm gonna have to start stopping down my aperture in order to make the video not too bright. See if we can get a picture of him when he looks this way. That's a pretty good picture right there. We're getting into a little bit different habitat. Previously, it's been more prairie. Now we're starting to get some taller trees, which should give us some different birds. Hopefully we can start getting some looks at some birds that I've been hearing for a while. And there's cardinals calling, but I do not see any of them. That looked like it might be one, but I think it's just a red leaf. Yeah. There's one right there. That's one cardinal. I've heard probably at least 6 of them this morning. That's the first one that I've seen. Go ahead and check out this spot up here and see if we can find anything in there. Just saw one cardinal, but he left right as I was trying to get the camera on him. There he is. He's way back in there. Autofocus is going to have a hard time getting him. There he is right there. Got an eastern phoebe right there. Phoebes have really distinctive behavior. They wag their tails up and down. Makes it pretty easy to identify them. And they're the only flycatcher expected right now in this area. Closer look at them. there's something else in there. It sounded kind of like a Buick wren. Over here and see if we can find it. Do not see anything. So I think that's pretty good for today. Got more than a dozen species, I think. Unusually quiet today. Usually there's a few more birds, but I think that was pretty good for the Great Backyard Bird Count. I'm calling over there. Yeah, I think it was pretty good, and I was definitely expecting a little bit more, but we did really well with the waterfowl. Got several new ones for the year there. Believe I don't think I'd seen Lesser Scaup yet, which is kind of weird because it's super common. So good to get that. And Pie-billed Grebe, I think, might have been a new one for the year too. So good to get that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this live birding. Let me know if you did, and I'll see you next time. Happy birding.